Welcome to my final project for the Flatiron Bootcamp. What I did is a React app with a Redux and a Rails API backend. This is a app where pet lovers can keep track of their pet's toys, and you can also register your pet, as we'll see here. And you just enter their name and a photo of them and register it. I guess I'd already used this photo previously. Then you can also edit this pet. So since I've already used this photo before, let's see. Let's find a pet photo real quick. And look at that, now we got a different dog. And we can also open their toy box, and this pet doesn't have any toys, so you can use a form to add the toys. But let's go back and just delete this person. So if they do have toys already stored, you can see that they're displayed here. And let's add a toy. Again, I'll just use some previous information I used to test this out. And I'll show you a feature I did for if you don't do the radio buttons. So I was having a bug where if you didn't input a value, nothing would render because it couldn't read null. So I just have if, let's actually look at the code here. So if, these are the radio buttons right here. So if that prop is equal to null, then put a little span in that says not applicable. Or if it is not null, then actually put the real value, and because it is a Boolean, I have to do toString. And then we can edit this as well. So let's just take, I know it's not a toy, but just to show, put a new image there. And then I also chose to have it when you are editing a toy, that the default is just set to true. I thought that was an easier way of having something input, because if they do have actual values put up, it will input the correct value. So we'll first just update this toy. So now our photo is different. We have all these true values. But let's go back in here and we'll just say false, false, update, and you can see it's updating correctly. And we can also delete this toy. And I think that is all the functionality of this. So I wanted to have a completely CRUD application. I also wanted to use React Router 6. So that's why there's not a switch statement, and that is also the reason you might have seen some of the use navigate, since we can't use history anymore. So for instance with, let's see, launch edit. Okay, so let's just go through that. All pets, edit pets. So what are we launching? You can see here that we want to go to props.id, so you can see up here that it correctly went to the correct pet ID /edit. And then we are passing in, because you can also pass in the state using navigate, we're passing in the ID, the name, and the photo. So then when we go to the pet edit form, we use the hook use location to get access to that information that we put in state for this component. So you can see here that we are setting use location to a variable, and then we just call location.state / whatever we put into our state. So we have our ID, name, and photo, and that's why you can see here Michael Boy is put here, the photo URL is already put in there, and then also I put as a read-only value the ID, so that when you submit it, everything is completely correct. So since I wanted to use as many hooks as possible, I'm not using connect or class components for this project. I'm using all functional components, and I'm using use dispatch and use selector to replace my connect map state to props and map dispatch to props. I did save all of my action types to variables, so that way they're easier to call. I'm using Thunk middleware for all of my dispatch functions, so that way things are communicating back and forth easily, and I can do asynchronous fetch requests. And I am passing in the information and in some cases navigate, so that way so like let's say here, edit pet, we're already here. So when I update pet, I'm getting taken back to /pets. So that way there's no awkward like, did this form actually submit? What's going on? It's just pretty clear and simple. My reducers, not a lot of special things going on here. I think always the trickiest one is the edit function, because you have to take the array of our pets. We gotta slice it at the index of the pet we're trying to edit. So that's why we are doing the find index. And so then we're taking that slice, then we're gonna put in our new pet information, and then we're taking the rest of the array, which is that pet index +1, and then slapping it back on the end. So it's kind of like a little sandwich. I also did try this error boundaries thing. It is my only class component, because there isn't a functional version of this yet, and it's not super great for like async functions. I think there's some like event handlers I can't deal with, but it does deal with some aspects of error handling for me, which I also did in the Rails API as well. I'll show that real quick. So that's in my application controller. I use the rescue from here instead of handling that in like each, like instead of like putting here like if at pet render JSON else render the error. So that kind of takes care of that for me. And that is my final project. I hope you enjoyed it.